Have you ever wondered how much to spend on a first date? It's a question that's probably crossed your mind at least once as you prepared for that exciting yet nerve-wracking occasion. First dates, they're a mix of emotions, aren't they? The anticipation, the thrill, the butterflies in your stomach, and yes, the pressure. Among the myriad of things to consider, one aspect that often leaves us scratching our heads is the cost. How much is too much? Or too little? The balance can be tricky to find. After all, you want to make a good impression, but you also don't want to set unrealistic expectations. This issue of cost isn't just about money either. It's about setting the tone for what might be a budding relationship. It's about signaling your intentions, so it's definitely worth giving some thought. Stick around to find out how much people usually spend on first dates. A recent study conducted by Match.com revealed some interesting facts about first date expenses. So, how much do people usually shell out for that all-important first date? Well, according to the survey, the average cost is around $60. This includes everything from a nice meal to a movie ticket or even a round of mini-golf. But of course, this is just an average. The actual cost can vary quite a bit depending on a variety of factors. For instance, geography plays a significant role. In big cities like New York or San Francisco, where the cost of living is high, you might find yourself spending well over $100. On the flip side, in smaller towns or rural areas, $60 could easily cover a dinner for two at a nice local restaurant. Age also plays a part in determining the cost of a first date. The survey found that younger daters, those in their early 20s, tend to spend less, averaging around $50. As people get older and presumably more financially stable, the average cost tends to increase. And then there's the gender factor. The survey showed that men typically spend more on a first date than women. This is likely due to societal norms and expectations, although these are certainly changing as we move towards a more equal dating culture. There's also a wide range of personal factors that can influence the cost of a first date. Some people might opt for a simple coffee date, which could cost less than $10, while others might pull out all the stops with a fancy dinner and a show, which could run into the hundreds. The key takeaway from the survey is that there's no set rule for how much you should spend on a first date. It's all about finding a balance that works for you and your date, and focusing on the connection rather than the cost. Now that we know what people typically spend, let's talk about what's appropriate. When deciding how much to spend on a first date, several factors come into play. Let's start with the financial situation. It's a reality that everyone's pocket depth varies. The key here is to plan according to your budget. You want to impress your date, but not at the expense of your financial stability. Overspending can lead to stress, which isn't a great ingredient for a successful date. So be realistic and set a budget that you're comfortable with. Next, consider the location. If you're in a big city, prices can be higher than in a small town. The type of date also plays a role. Are you planning a dinner at a fancy restaurant, or perhaps a picnic in the park? Each scenario has a different cost implication, and it's important to align your budget with the location and the activity. Now, let's talk about the preferences of the other person. Some people appreciate lavish gestures, while others might feel uncomfortable with too much extravagance. If you know your date well, use this knowledge to your advantage. If you're still getting to know each other, you might want to keep things on the moderate side to avoid any awkwardness. Communication is key in this aspect. It's perfectly fine to discuss the plan and budget for the date to ensure both parties are comfortable and on the same page. This doesn't mean you have to whip out your calculator and start crunching numbers together. Instead, it's about setting expectations and making sure your date is something both of you will enjoy. Lastly, don't forget that a date is not just about the money spent. It's about creating a space for you both to connect and get to know each other better. It's about shared experiences and building memories. So, while it's important to consider your budget, remember that the most valuable thing you can give is your time and attention. Remember, the goal of a date is to get to know each other, not to break the bank. Here are some tips for having a successful first date without overspending. Firstly, let's talk about activities. The key is to choose a date activity that is affordable yet fun and creative. This could be a picnic in the park, a walk around a local farmer's market, or even a free art exhibit. These settings not only save you money, but also provide a relaxed atmosphere where you can genuinely get to know each other. Secondly, consider splitting the bill. In today's modern dating world, it's increasingly acceptable and often appreciated. It's a gesture that says, "We're in this together," and can ease the pressure of the date. However, it's crucial to communicate this beforehand to avoid any awkwardness or misunderstandings. The third tip is to limit alcohol consumption. While a glass of wine or a cocktail can help ease nerves, it's easy to rack up a hefty bill when drinks keep flowing. Consider suggesting a coffee date or a single round of drinks. This will not only keep your wallet happy, but also ensure you both stay clear-headed to engage in meaningful conversation. Next, focus on creating a memorable experience rather than showcasing your spending power. Remember, it's about the quality of time spent together, not the quantity of dollars spent. Engage in meaningful conversation, listen actively, show genuine interest, and be yourself. Tip number 5 is to plan ahead. Knowing where you're going and what you're doing will help you budget. This doesn't mean you need a minute-by-minute itinerary, but a general plan will prevent any last-minute expensive decisions. Finally, remember that the first date is just the beginning. There's no need to pull out all the stops and leave your bank account gasping for air. Keep it simple, keep it honest, and let the connection between you be the star of the show. In the end, it's not about how much you spend, but how much you connect. After all, the best things in life are priceless.